Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines in the Hot 7 Nightly News.
Exasperated parents and elders question whether there really is anything they can do to keep youth from going astray. The opposition leader calls on the public to demand that their MPs support the vote of no confidence against Prime Minister Alan Shastney. And change is coming to a road network near you. We have the details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovely and Amy Joseph.
It is Wednesday, the 23rd of January, 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. I am Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. The Press Relations Office of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force says in cases similar to that of the Corinth school teacher who allegedly returned a gun to a student from whom it had been previously confiscated, there are provisions in the law to safeguard them from possible prosecution. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
As the sketchy details surrounding the case continues to unfold, surrounding a teenager attending the Corinth Secondary School who came onto the school compound with a gun last week, the Press Relations Office of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force has broken down one possible implication following such an incident. According to reports, the firearm, which was earlier confiscated by a teacher, was returned to the student who brought it to the school out of fear of reprisal from the weapon's true owner. Acting Corporal 806 Ann Joseph, attached to the Press and Public Relations Office of the RSLPF, told Hot 7 News that although such actions are illegal, this does not mean punishment is on the cards for the teacher.
The law does make provisions for where somebody acts under duress if somebody's in fear of their own life and they're forced to do something. There are provisions in the law. The criminal code does make provisions for that, and there are protections for persons who act in that regard. However, generally speaking, there are protections, but in this instance, we will see what the circumstances are at the completion of an investigation, and at that point, we can speak to specifics of this matter, but for now, we won't tie in anything.
The proper procedure when faced with such a predicament, she said, is to contact the police immediately in order to avoid legal implications.
You do not want to have a situation where you fail to do so and you have now handled an illicit weapon. So the best practice, obviously, and the lawful thing is to contact the police.
And what are the implications should you choose not to contact the police?
Well, it all depends on the circumstances surrounding that incident. If you did not contact the police and you were found in possession of that firearm, you can be charged for being in possession of an unlicensed weapon. You don't have a license for it and you're found with it, you can be charged for possession. But again, each case will be judged on its own merit. It does not mean that that is what is going to happen in this incident. I know you're asking because you believe perhaps that the teacher or someone else may be implicated in that regard. The circumstances surrounding that incident will be judged upon the gathering of evidence, and whatever that evidence leads to, that is where we will head.
Joseph confirmed that the RSLPF did in fact receive a call in relation to the student. She said while she cannot divulge in-depth information about the case due to ongoing investigations, the PRO denied earlier claims made by the lack of police involvement in the matter.
We can actually confirm that on the day in question, the police were notified. It was actually by a senior member of the Ministry of Education. Someone did contact the police. The police responded twice on that particular day that they were alerted.
Reports have indicated that the student at the center of the case has been suspended from the school. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
Parents are being called upon to be vigilant, and in some cases, parents themselves are throwing their hands up in the air in frustration as it relates to raising teens into law-abiding citizens. The alarm has been raised about delinquency among students within secondary schools on island, and in particular gun possession. This is in light of two recent reports of two male secondary school students posing with guns in a photograph, and news that another secondary school student recently came to school with a gun. St. Lucians say it is a sad state of affairs.
I think the children bringing guns to school, that's really, really bad. You know, I think the parents, the teachers, things need to be changed right now here in St. Lucia because the teachers don't care And the parents, some of them don't even care. When the children leave the home to go to school, they don't know where the children is. They're not searching the children bag. When the children come from school, they're still not searching the children bag. So how they will ever know? They're not going to the school to find out how the children doing, the kind of friends they have, the environment that they, if they actually in the school. I think we as parents, we need to put our foot down more hard on our children, both girls and boys.
As an auntie, I will say, when the children leave in home and go to school, we will check their bag to make sure that everything is safe. There is no knife, cutlass or anything. But in going outside, because they leave the house already, they could meet with friends down the road and end up with the knife, put it in the bag or hide it behind the house. And the next thing I seen, they have a saying, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So basically, sometimes it's the wrong friends that make your children get out of hand.
My l'école, la gun, a couteau. Ako pa ni ka prete la kay mama yo ka parti ak li. Utan unless the teacher pass to ba kay sapsioning. Se mun na ka van tout partout la place ta holding na ka van couteau da tué. N'importe où ça vient acheter couteau. Yo ka van home ba se ti ba la ba laji. Yo ka van tabak ba yo ka van cigarette ba yo. So
anytime you get any student that bring in weapon, it can be knife, especially things like guns. Expel them.
Parents are to be blamed likewise. There are lots of parents have to be blamed because the parents are as if the children, they are the ones governing the parents.
You can't blame mother. Everyone say mother, mama. Say, but mama, say change. And you say once you say children start going to secondary school, everything changed. Everything changed. They can't blame mothers. A mother, let's say you're working in a hotel. You leave in your home 7 o'clock in the morning. The children have to go to school. Mother, no, they can't blame mothers.
Children today, which is the youth of today going to school, especially when they start going to secondary school, they start following friends. And they're still in your house. They comb their hair how they want. Their parents accept that. They don't want to cut their hair. Their parents accept that. And look at it, even some fathers, which you call daddies, I don't know, they accept that. Even the music, the very same music that they listen to, have great influence on the impact of the mind of those students today. Take it or leave it. And those music, most of the parents accept those music in the house. They cannot tell a child nothing at all. Not even the father can speak. That's not a home, that's a house. And anytime you have a house which is not a home, what do you expect?
Opposition leader Philip J. Pierre is urging St. Lucians to reach out to their parliamentary representatives to urge them to support the St. Lucia Labour Party's no-confidence vote against the Alan Chastanet administration.
I'm calling on all St. Lucians to listen attentively to the arguments and urge their parliamentary representatives to vote in favor of the motion.
Leader of the opposition and SLP party leader Philip J. Pierre says since he submitted the motion of no confidence in Prime Minister Alan Chastanet to the Clerk of Parliament in November last year, the Prime Minister and his public relations team have been thrown into a tailspin.
First, they tried to ridicule the motion, but this failed because motions of no confidence were presented in St. Kitts and Nevis, Guyana, and England. It should be noted that in Barbados, the then leader of the opposition and current Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, had also presented a motion of no confidence in the Parliament. Having failed in their attempts to ridicule the motion, the Prime Minister and his public relations people devised a self-promotion and Project Dazzle and Bluff plan to attempt to fool the people again. So the Prime Minister suddenly gives his first New Year address in 3 years and makes pronouncements that all of us know are not factual.
Pierre says stalled projects have been offered to the people of St. Lucia as planned and ongoing projects. He says these smokescreens are meant to counter the motion of no confidence. Nonetheless, he has indicated that the opposition is not deterred.
None of these has stopped the momentum of the no confidence motion. St. Lucians, both home and abroad, are taking a keen interest in the upcoming debates. They are anxious to see if any minister would vote with their conscience and register their vote against the policies of the Prime Minister. I'm pleased to announce that the last time I spoke to the Speaker, he told me that the motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister will be debated on 29 January 2019. However, one should not be surprised if there are continuous efforts to frustrate the process by the Prime Minister.
The ruling United Workers' Party has called the motion of no confidence in Prime Minister Alan Chastanet political posturing. The Ministry of Infrastructure is doubting the design for the Millennium Highway and West Coast Road upgrading project as one that will go a long way in building a better St. Lucia. At the signing of the consultancy agreement, key project stakeholders explained the importance of the upgrade of the road network to help bring about a more climate-resilient structure. Solange Alfred reports.
On Tuesday morning, the government of St. Lucia unveiled the project details for the Millennium Highway and West Coast Road upgrade rehabilitation during a live broadcasted launch which took place on Tuesday, 23rd January. The event also featured the plans for the construction of a new bridge in Ancillary. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Ivor Daniel, said that the consultancy agreement has factored into it a wide range of intricacies, which will make for a top-notch design.
This consultancy that we're about to sign on this morning is not a typical road design consultancy, at least I can say from my perspective. It has requirements such as road safety, which would normally be taken into consideration by the engineers in their designs. But this one, if I can use mainstreaming, it mainstreams and does make a requirement that road safety has and must be included in the designs. It has not forgotten climate change, and so climate vulnerability and risk assessment is also included. And it has not forgotten gender. There will be a social and gender analysis to be undertaken as well.
Minister for Infrastructure Stephenson King expressed his enthusiasm for the new project, saying the island should look forward to a design that has put into consideration a greater level of resilience.
We are energized, as I indicated, and we are focused and ready to continue delivering better for all the people of St. Lucia. Prime Minister, Cabinet colleague, ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Infrastructure remains true to its medium-term vision for roads and national infrastructure development in St. Lucia. The vision is clear. We are resolute in our commitment to improve and maintain our road network, including bridges at A-class, at a Class A1 standard in this country and nothing less.
On hand to provide clarity into the design was FDL consultant Pulin Fontenade, who assured that the local firm with a global footprint is ready to do the work of the people. The consultant noted that factors such as pedestrian and non-motorized provisions were taken into consideration. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet was on hand to thank the British government who provided the grant funding for the project.
Thank the British government for their incredible generosity and their foresight in providing this fund. And I say foresight because the monies were committed when Prime Minister Cameron initiated this, I believe it was 2015. And this was really before people understood what climate change was. And there was some critical criteria in this fund. One, it had to be in infrastructural projects that provided an economic return. So this wasn't just about a government picking and choosing where they wanted to use grant funds. And also in terms of helping to strengthen the infrastructure as it pertains to sustainability.
A commencement date for the construction aspect is projected for the second quarter of 2020, whilst the completion timeline for the design proposal is set for either October or November 2019.
In the meantime, an island-wide assessment is currently being carried out. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solej Alfred.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News. When we come back, former External Affairs Minister Alva Baptiste blasts the Aaron Chastain government for its foreign relations policy. The National Security Minister is concerned about the safety of the nation's children, and find out more about efforts to develop and implement a regional schools drug policy. We'll be right back.